In June 2023, Eleanor Thompson, a 68-year-old retired woman who had been widowed for 12 years, realized that her wedding ring, which held immeasurable sentimental value, had disappeared from her jewelry box. She had no idea she was about to uncover a family betrayal that would forever change her relationship with her daughter-in-law. This is the story of the Williamsburg ring. Margaret Thompson was a 68-year-old history teacher, known for her elegance and dedication to preserving family history. After 45 years of a strong marriage, until the passing of her husband Robert, along with a meticulously maintained collection of family heirlooms that spanned 5 generations, she valued each material memory as a vital link to her ancestors. A widow for 3 years, she was now focused on organizing the legacy she would leave for her only son, Michael, who was 37 years old. Despite her apparent frailty due to arthritis in her hands, Margaret was mentally sharp and determined. Her students at the university where she had taught for 35 years affectionately called her the guardian of history. The Williamsburg Alliance had been in the Thompson family for 115 years and was known among relatives for its unique history and distinctive features. Located in a small blue velvet box inside the built-in safe in the main closet of Margaret's Victorian house in Richmond, Virginia, the piece was a solid 24-carat gold ring with inscriptions in Old French on the inside and small diamonds set in a floral pattern. Appraised 5 years ago at approximately $78,000 due to its purity, antiquity, and documented provenance, the ring had been worn by 4 generations of Thompson women at their weddings. The jewelry never recorded any incidents or losses during its century of existence in the family, being carefully passed down from mother to daughter or daughter-in-law, accompanied by detailed documentation of its origin dating back to 1908 in Williamsburg. It constantly attracted the attention of historians and collectors due to the colonial goldsmith's mark and the exceptional purity of the gold used, being considered one of the best preserved family heirlooms from that era in Virginia. For the celebration dinner of her 68th birthday, Margaret meticulously prepared every detail, including her decision to wear the historic ring as she traditionally did for important family occasions. However, she did not take the usual precautions to check the safety of the safe before and after the event, or to document who was in her room during the party. The planning called for a formal dinner for 12 people, including her son, Michael, her daughter-in-law, Ashley, and other close relatives. Margaret only informed her younger sister, Barbara, about her intention to wear the historic jewelry that evening. The elderly woman did not perform the ritual of placing the piece back in the safe immediately after the party, leaving it on her dresser overnight while she took her sleep medication, something she had never done on previous occasions. What Margaret didn't know was that her daughter-in-law, Ashley Thompson, 35, was facing a serious personal financial crisis due to compulsive shopping and online gambling debts she had been hiding from her husband for nearly a year. Ashley's situation had reached a critical point, with threats from creditors and a nearly $45,000 deficit on secret credit cards. The Williamsburg ring, which Ashley mistakenly believed was a good replica of the original jewel she thought was kept in a bank, represented an opportunity to resolve some of her problems without raising suspicions from her husband or mother-in-law. At 10:45 p.m. that Saturday night, after the birthday dinner, while everyone was saying their goodbyes and Margaret was taking her medication in the bathroom of the suite, Ashley Thompson entered the master bedroom, saw the ring on the dresser, and made the decision that would trigger an unprecedented family crisis. The entrance to Margaret's Victorian home for the birthday dinner went exactly as planned. The early moments of the celebration were filled with warm hugs, carefully wrapped gifts, and the aroma of lamb roast, which was the hostess's specialty. "Mom, you've outdone yourself this year," exclaimed Michael, truly impressed by the elegance of the table set with the china passed down from their great-grandmother. Ashley added, admiring the setting, "This house always takes me back to another time." The ring sparkled discreetly on Margaret's finger, and conversations flowed naturally amid laughter and family stories. However, Ashley's frequent and calculated glances at the jewelry didn't go unnoticed by Barbara, Margaret's sister. "What a beautiful ring you have, Margaret. It's so special to see you wearing it today," Barbara commented, noticing how Ashley seemed suddenly interested in the piece. "I always wear it on important occasions. Robert would be happy to know we're keeping our traditions alive," Margaret replied, turning the ring on her finger, unaware of her daughter-in-law's intense interest. 2 hours after dinner began, When the guests had dispersed around the house for coffee and after-dinner drinks, Ashley approached Margaret with unusually specific questions. "This ring looks so authentic for a replica. Where did you have it made?" she asked with feigned casualness. Surprised by the remark, Margaret replied, "Replica? Darling, this is the original family ring since 1908. I thought Michael had explained its history to you." Ashley's face momentarily paled, but she quickly regained her composure. Of course. I just assumed you kept the original in the bank. It's truly stunning," she justified, calculating the potential value of the piece in her mind. Confident in her daughter-in-law, Margaret went on to explain the piece's history in detail, unaware that she was inadvertently providing valuable information to someone with questionable intentions. "You should wear it more often, Margaret. It's too beautiful to keep tucked away," Ashley suggested, already determined to dig deeper into the piece. When the last guests began to say their goodbyes around 10:30 p.m., the situation changed drastically. Margaret, tired from the long night and affected by her blood pressure medication, forgot her ritual of putting the ring in the safe immediately. Instead, she left it on the vanity while she prepared for bed. Ashley, claiming she had forgotten her purse in the main room where the coats were left, went upstairs alone. As she passed the vanity and saw the unprotected family ring, she made an impulsive decision. Barbara, the last to leave, noticed something odd about Ashley's behavior when she hurried down the stairs with her purse. "Margaret, are you okay staying here alone?" "I can sleep here if you'd like," Barbara offered, feeling an inexplicable sense of unease. "Don't be silly, I'm perfectly fine. Go home and get some rest," Margaret replied, unaware that it would be the last time she would see the family heirloom for months. It was too late when, the following morning, Margaret Thompson realized the empty space on the vanity and felt the weight of the absence of that physical link to past generations of her family. At 8:17 the next morning, upon waking and not finding her ring where she had left it, Margaret Thompson faced the most disturbing reality of her recent years. The vanity, where she was certain she had placed the jewelry, was empty, with only a circular mark in the dust indicating where it had been. The realization of the loss was instant and devastating. "Impossible. I left it right here," she murmured to herself as she frantically rummaged through drawers and the floor around her. With trembling hands, Margaret first called Barbara, who arrived in 20 minutes, and together they conducted a methodical search of the house. The absence of any signs of forced entry or burglary quickly raised the terrible possibility. The ring had been taken by someone present at the dinner. With 12 people in the house, including family and close friends, Margaret refused to accept the implied betrayal in that possibility. At 10:45, after 2 hours of fruitless searching and with a heavy heart, Margaret made the decision she never imagined would be necessary within her own family. She called the police to report the disappearance of an item valued at nearly $80,000. Officer Davies arrived at 11:30 a.m. to file the report. "Mrs. Thompson, can you tell me exactly who was at your house last night?" he asked, meticulously noting every detail. Margaret provided the full list, but her voice faltered when mentioning her son and daughter-in-law. "Michael and Ashley were the last to leave around 10:40 p.m., Barbara explained, intervening upon noticing her sister's discomfort. The officer collected information about the jewelry, requested photographs and documentation, and promised to initiate a discreet investigation, acknowledging the sensitive nature of the case. "We don't want to accuse anyone hastily," he emphasized. Meanwhile, Michael was informed and arrived at his mother's house looking visibly disturbed. "Mom, are you sure you didn't put it somewhere else? Let's check the safe again," he suggested, incredulous at the possibility of theft. Ashley, notably, claimed to be unwell and did not accompany her husband. What nobody knew was that, at that very moment, she was at a pawn shop in Richmond, discreetly negotiating what she referred to as "my grandmother's inheritance." In a desperate move to settle her debts, Ashley walked into the Richmond Gold Exchange at 11:45 a.m., carrying a century-old ring in a small generic box. The appraiser, Stanley Morris, who had 32 years of experience, immediately recognized the piece as extraordinary. "This is an exceptional item. May I ask about its provenance?" he inquired, already suspecting the rarity of the piece. Ashley, with a rehearsed story, replied, "It belonged to my grandmother. She recently passed away and left it to me. I don't wear vintage jewelry and I need the money for home repairs." Stanley, cautious yet intrigued, examined the ring closely, noting the inscriptions in French and the jeweler's mark. "Ma'am, this is not an ordinary piece of jewelry. Given the 24-carat gold and the craftsmanship, I can offer you $25,000, but honestly, it's worth significantly more, he informed her, observing Ashley's sudden nervousness. The offer, well below its true value but still substantial, was quickly accepted. Cash, please. And no receipt, if possible, Ashley requested. Stanley, now clearly suspicious, insisted, I'm sorry, but transactions of this value require complete documentation and identification. Reluctantly, Ashley provided her driver's license and signed the necessary paperwork, receiving $25,000 in exchange for the ring that represented more than a century of family history. What Ashley didn't know was that Stanley Morris was not only an experienced appraiser, but also a member of the Richmond Historical Association and an expert on the region's notable historical jewelry. After the nervous client left, he researched in his specialized catalog and made a disturbing discovery. The description of the ring perfectly matched that of the documented Williamsburg ring of the Thompson family, which is often featured in local historical exhibitions. Following the ethical protocols of the association, Stanley discreetly contacted the police department at 1:20 p.m., providing copies of the documents signed by Ashley Thompson, along with a detailed description of the transaction. I believe we may have a case involving the sale of a historical item that may have been obtained unlawfully, he informed Officer Davies, who had filed Margaret's complaint just hours earlier. The police acted quickly and discreetly. Detective Sarah Jenkins from the Property Crimes Unit contacted Margaret Thompson at 2:30 p.m. to verify the description of the ring and confirm the suspicion. Mrs. Thompson, this is extremely delicate, but we need you to confirm if you know an Ashley Thompson and what your relationship to her is, the detective requested. The silence that followed was broken only by Margaret's stifled sobs as she finally replied, She's my daughter-in-law, the wife of my only son. Her confirmation triggered the police protocol for sensitive family situations. At 3:15 p.m., Officer Davies and Detective Jenkins retrieved the ring from the pawn shop, while a second team headed to Michael and Ashley's residence for questioning. The confrontation occurred at 4:05 p.m., when Michael, still at his mother's house helping with the search, received a call from the police informing him that they needed to speak with him and his wife immediately. Is something wrong? Ashley is home resting. She wasn't feeling well, he replied, confused. Mr. Thompson, we recommend that you return to your residence right now. We are on our way for an important conversation with both of you, Detective Jenkins informed him, keeping the situation under control. Margaret, realizing the gravity of the situation, insisted on accompanying her son. I need to be there, Michael. Whatever it is, we will face it together, she declared, her firmness surprising everyone. The trio, Margaret, Michael, and Barbara, arrived at the couple's home just moments before the police. Ashley, visibly shaken upon seeing her mother-in-law and husband entering unexpectedly, quickly tried to hide a partially packed suitcase under the bed. What's going on? Why did everyone come like this? She questioned, her voice betraying a growing panic. The arrival of the officers turned the situation into an unprecedented family crisis. Detective Jenkins, with professional tact, placed the recovered ring on the coffee table. Mrs. Ashley Thompson, do you recognize this item? She asked calmly. The silence in the room was deafening. Michael alternated incredulous glances between the family heirloom and his wife. Margaret maintained a silent dignity, while Barbara held her hand in support. Ashley, realizing the impossibility of denial, broke down in tears. I didn't know it was real. I thought it was just a valuable replica, she tried to justify between sobs. The ring was sold today for $25,000 at the Richmond Gold Exchange. Was the money found? The detective continued. Michael, stunned, finally comprehended the magnitude of the situation. Ashley, how could you? This ring is our family's living history, he exclaimed, disappointment evident in every word. Amid the emotional chaos that had settled in, the legal resolution began to take shape. Ashley, faced with irrefutable evidence, confessed not only to the theft of the ring, but also to the spiral of hidden debts that had motivated her actions. I owe almost $50,000 in credit cards and loans that Michael doesn't know about. Online gambling, shopping. I was desperate, she revealed, finally exposing the truth she'd concealed for nearly a year. Margaret, showing unexpected compassion, intervened. I won't press formal charges against Ashley if she agrees to treatment for gambling and shopping addiction. The proposal, made at such a critical moment, surprised everyone, including Ashley. Detective Jenkins clarified, "The decision not to file criminal charges is at the discretion of the victim, but the case will be recorded and any recurrence will result in more severe consequences." Michael, still processing the double betrayal, the theft of the family ring and the hidden debts, remained in reflective silence, his world crumbling before his eyes. The rescue of the Williamsburg ring involved an unlikely network of individuals. Margaret, the victim who chose compassion over revenge. Stanley Morris, the ethical appraiser who recognized the historical significance of the piece. Detective Jenkins and Officer Davies, who acted swiftly and sensitively. And Barbara, who unconditionally supported her sister throughout the crisis. The main challenge was balancing justice with the preservation of already fragile family relationships, especially considering Michael's position, caught between loyalties. Margaret's silent heroism as she faced betrayal without allowing resentment to completely destroy her family, even impressed the most experienced officers. It took less than 8 hours to recover the century-old ring, a record time for property crimes of similar value. The emotional risk taken by everyone involved, especially Margaret, who chose possible reconciliation over permanent estrangement, demonstrated a deep understanding of the value of family relationships beyond material belongings. The subsequent investigation revealed that the vulnerability that allowed the theft was a combination of overconfidence and a break in established routine. Margaret, for the first time in decades, did not follow her usual security protocol. She left the ring exposed instead of putting it in the safe immediately after using it. She did not check who had been in her room during the party, and she took medication that diminished her usual vigilance. Ashley, for her part, made critical mistakes. She did not adequately research the true value of the item before selling it. She chose a reputable pawn shop instead of less regulated channels. She provided real identification during the transaction. And she severely underestimated how quickly a historical piece would be recognized in the local community. The most significant shortcoming, however, was the lack of honest communication between the couple about their financial situation, which could have prevented the desperation that motivated the crime. The main lesson emerged clearly. Family assets require not only physical security, but also transparency and genuine trust among everyone involved. This incident led to the implementation of the Thompson Protocol at the Richmond Historical Society. All family heirloom jewelry was photographed, documented digitally, and recorded in a database accessible to appraisers and antique dealers in the region, making unauthorized sales more difficult. New security protocols were adopted by families with valuable heirlooms, including safes with biometric records and documented periodic checks. The unexpected legacy of this crisis was the beginning of an open dialogue about issues of financial dependency and gambling that affect seemingly stable families. Margaret Thompson, turning pain into purpose, established a support group for families affected by hidden compulsive behaviors. Today, the Williamsburg Alliance remains within the family, but its story now includes not only its historical value, but also the lesson of how honest communication could have prevented months of distress and near family disintegration. Ashley, after completing her treatment program, became a speaker in financial education programs, using her own experience as a cautionary tale for others. Tell us in the comments, do you think Margaret made the right choice by not criminally prosecuting Ashley? At what point in this story would you have confronted the situation differently? Have you ever experienced a case of family betrayal that you were able to overcome through forgiveness? If this story made you rethink how to handle family heirlooms and the importance of honesty in relationships, please give it a like and subscribe for more real cases of how family secrets can have devastating consequences when they finally come to light.